Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Om Vishnu Balai Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Nimai Harine Hare Krishna. We are reading from the Transcendental Diary by Hari Sori Prabhu. We are in Sri Vrindavan Dham. The date is September 12, 1976. It's are you at the right place there also? Yes. Let's wait. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. A telegram arrived today from Dhyana Swami in Mayapur. Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, the head of Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, has died. The telegram said that his followers plan to put his body in the bhajan kutir of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and that ISKCON is protesting. Prabhupada shook his head in disapproval. Why are they protesting? We should not become involved unless other God brothers have asked. Unnecessarily becoming involved. It is not our business. Let them do as they wish. We had nothing to do with him when he was alive, and neither shall we have anything to do with him now he is dead. Send a telegram to that effect. Thus, Harikesh Maharaj sent a telegram back to Satadhyana Maharaj, which simply read, "Stay out of Tirtha Maharaj's affairs, alive or dead." A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. In other mail, Srila Prabhupada received a letter from Vikas K. Mishra, the son of one of his childhood friends, Dinanath Mishra. Vikas informed Prabhupada that Dinanath died from a heart attack 2 months ago on July 16. He said, "I'm writing this letter to you as you know my father for a very long time and he held you in very high regard, veneration and great esteem as the torch bearer of Krishna consciousness movement and as a pioneer in propagating the word of the Lord. I request you to pray for him and keep a kindly eye on us and provide us with spiritual guidance and solace in our hour of need. As all of us pray for your long life so that the Lord keep you in good health and long life to propagate his word and provide solace to the suffering humanity." Srila Prabhupada replied, "I'm very, very sorry to learn that your father has expired. Your father was my class friend and neighborhood friend. During the time of your grandfather, your whole family was living at Varanasi Ghosh Street. Our residence was on the same street, and because we went to the same college, Scottish Church College, and were in the same class, we were very intimately connected since 1916, more than 50 years. Naturally, I'm very, very sorry to learn the death news of your father, my beloved friend. So offer your mother my condolences for the bereavement, but there is nothing to be very sorry for. According to Bhagavad Gita, your father has not died, he has changed his body. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Certainly, I pray to Krishna for his better situation in the next life. Offer my blessings to your children and wife, and I hope that this meets you in good health. I will most probably be in Calcutta in December next, and I shall be glad to see you at that time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we can see here that Srila Prabhupada is answering letters, and in those days you didn't have telephone, right? So Srila Prabhupada, he basically managed the whole society through letters. So his disciples, they could, what was that song, Mataji? Yeah. So anyone could write a letter to Srila Prabhupada and he would reply. So he replied to each and every letter that his disciples wrote. Normally he would receive a letter and then he would ask his secretary to read, and then he would dictate the letter and his secretary would note down very fast, and then at the end the secretary would show the letter. Is it okay? And then Srila Prabhupada would say yes, okay, and then he would sign, and then they would send the letter back to the person who wrote. So in the Dimna Maharaj, he tells the story that he first wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada saying that he really wanted to be accepted as his disciple, and then he also gives a small donation, and then um, he writes something, puts a little donation in the envelope, and when Srila Prabhupada is leaving from the temple, he just, he's so shy, but he just um, calls out, Srila Prabhupada, I have a small donation for you and a letter. And then he gives Srila Prabhupada this, and then so he forgets about the letter. You know, he's not expecting much, but whenever in those days, whenever they would receive any letter from Srila Prabhupada, it would be like for everyone, not just for that devotee. They would be like, uh, he shares that when a letter would arrive from Srila Prabhupada, then devotees would blow the conch. Letter from Srila Prabhupada has come. And all the devotees would gather in the hall, and then and everyone would be so eager to hear what Srila Prabhupada had to say. And then, so, and the first, and so they would read the letters, and surprisingly, the letter that Maharaj wrote also gets answered. So Srila Prabhupada answered each and every letter like that. And that's how he managed the whole society. We can imagine a person of 70 years of age, and then during the night, throughout the night, he is writing books, and throughout the day, he is guiding his disciples, and he is doing so many programs. He is writing so many letters, so many conversations, lectures, and just guiding, opening 108 temples just in 10 years. So this is a superhuman abilities, right? This is not This is extraordinary. Like even if you look from a material point of view, if someone analyzes the the way Srila Prabhupada organized his life, it is such an inspiration for even, let's say, a CEO of a big company. If they want to study management, they can study this from how Srila Prabhupada managed, just from a materials viewpoint, what to speak of a spiritual viewpoint, right? And the letters he wrote have been all published, and one can get so much guidance from these letters also. Every morning we read something, right? Srila Prabhupada wrote something every day, and so much of guidance we can receive from those letters, right? So, and in this particular letters also, we can see two different ways Srila Prabhupada reacts to the same thing. The death of a person, somehow he's with one death, he is not wanting to get involved so much, and with the other one, he is just offering his condolences, he's offering his prayers, right? So this he's saying how, and in the second one, that he is who is it exactly? The son of his childhood friend, Dinanath Mishra, who died of heart attack, and he is very sorry to hear that he says, right, that he was a very dear friend, right? So a devotee is naturally, it is said, a devotee is para dukha dukhi, para sukha sukhi, meaning when others are in distress, a devotee is also in distress. And when others are happy, a devotee is also happy. Right? So this is the compassion, this is the soft nature of a devotee. Prahlad Maharaj, he very famously prays in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Swastyastu Vishwasya Khala Prasidatam Dhyayantu Bhutani Shivam Mitudhiya Manascha Bhadram Bhajadad Padokshaje Avesvatam no Matir Apyahetuki. May there be good fortune throughout the universe. May all the living entities be pacified, or by performing devotional service, they can be peaceful. Right? May all the envious people be satisfied by devotional service. So a devotee is naturally very compassionate. That is the nature of spirituality. You cannot separate compassion from spirituality. And we can see our acharyas, they have so much of compassion. We may not have that compassion, but we should pray that we have a drop of that compassion. Because spirituality and compassion, they cannot be separated. When you are when we understand that we are not the body, we are the spiritual soul, naturally we see each and every living entity, and naturally we see that everyone is suffering because they have this material body, right? So although sometimes we become happy when we see others suffering, right? We are the opposite. We just every day we pray that we can get to this point where we become sad when we see others suffering, and we want to do something to help, right? So that was Srila Prabhupada. He had unlimited compassion, and that is why his his vision was that every living entity in this universe go back to God. Right? So that's unlimited compassion. We cannot have that level of compassion, but we can pray to have a little bit. And in the place we live around us, we can pray that we can also help other living beings by giving them Krishna consciousness, by serving them, compassion. So this was Srila Prabhupada. He was the embodiment of compassion. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We read Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Janmudire. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, one should offer humble obeisances unto Mother Saraswati, Naranarayan Rishi, and Srila Vyasadeva. Nastaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the classes of Srimad Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. 7:125. Yannibaddo bhimano yam tadvad praninam vadaha tathanayasya kaivalyad abhimano kilatmanaha parasyadama karturhi himsa kenasya kalpiyate yannibaddo bhimano yam tadvadat praninam vadaha tathanayasya kaivalyad abhimano kilatmanaha parasyadama karturhi himsa kenasya kalpyate yannibaddo bhimano yam tadvad praninam vadaha tathanayasya kaivalyad abhimano kilatmanaha parasyadama karturhi himsa kenasya kalpyate. Navado Vimano Yam Advadat Praninam Vadaha Anayasya Kaivalya Vimano Kilatmanaha Aryasya Dhamma Karturi Himsa Kinasya Kalpate Yanivado Vimano Yam Advadat Praninam Vadaha Dhanayasya Kaivalyat Abhimano Kilatmanaha Arasya Dhamma Karturi Himsa Kalpate. Yanivado Vimano Tadvata Praninam Vadaha Dhanayasya Kaivalya Abhimano Kilatmanaha Parasya Dhamma Karturi Himsa Kenasya Kalpyate. Word for word. Yat, in which, Nibaddha, bound, Abhimana, false conception, Ayam, this, Tat, of that body, Vadat, from the annihilation, Praninam, of the living beings, Vadaha, annihilation, Tatha, similarly, Na, not, Yasya, of whom, Kaivalyat, because of being absolute one without a second. Abhimana, false conception, Akhila Atmana, of the super soul of all living entities. Parasya, the Supreme Personality of God. Dhammakartuhu, the Supreme Controller. He, certainly, Himsa, harm, Kena, how, Asya, his, Kalpyate, is performed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Because of the bodily conception of life, the conditioned soul thinks that when the body is annihilated, the living being is annihilated. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the Supreme Controller, the Super Soul of all living entities. Because he has no material body, he has no false conception of I and mine. It is therefore incorrect to think that he feels pleasure or pain when blasphemed or offered prayers. This is impossible for him. Thus he has no enemy and no friend. When he chastises the demons, it is for their own good. And when he accepts the prayers of the devotees, it is for their good. He is affected neither by prayers nor by blasphemy. Forward. Because of being covered by material bodies, the conditioned souls, including even greatly learned scholars and falsely educated professors, all think that as soon as the body is finished, everything is finished. This is due to their bodily conception of life. Krishna has no such bodily conception, nor is his body different from his self. Therefore, since Krishna has no material conception of life, how can he be affected by material prayers and accusations? Krishna's body is described herewith as Kaivalya, not different from himself. Since everyone has a material, bodily conception of life, if Krishna had such a conception, what would be the difference between Krishna and the conditioned soul? Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita are accepted as final because he does not possess a material body. As soon as one has a material body, he has four deficiencies. But since Krishna does not possess a material body, he has no deficiencies. He is always spiritually conscious and blissful. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. His form is eternal blissful knowledge. Sachidananda Vigraha, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa and Kaivalya are the same. Krishna can expand himself as Paramatma in the core of everyone's heart. In Bhagavad Gita 13.3, this is confirmed. Chetragyam Chapimam Vidhi Sarvachetre Subharata. The Lord is the Paramatma, the Atma or Super Self of all individual souls. Therefore, it must naturally be concluded that he has no defective bodily conceptions. Although situated in everyone's body, he has no bodily conception of life. He is always free from such conceptions, and thus he cannot be affected by anything in relation to the material body of the jiva. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 16.19, Tan aham vista kruran samsareshu naradaman shikpami ajasram ashubhan asurish eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Whenever the Lord punishes persons like demons, however, such punishment is meant for the good of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul, being envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, may accuse him, saying, Krishna is bad, Krishna is a thief, and so on. But Krishna, being kind to all living entities, does not consider such accusations. Instead, he takes account of the conditioned souls chanting of Krishna, Krishna so many times. He sometimes punishes such demons for one life by putting them in a lower species. But then, when they have stopped accusing him, they are liberated in the next life because of chanting Krishna's name constantly. Blaspheming the Supreme Lord or his devotee is not at all good for the conditioned soul. But Krishna, being very kind, punishes the conditioned soul in one life for such sinful activities and then takes him back home, back to Godhead. The vivid example for this is Vrittasura, who was formerly Chitraketu Maharaj, a great devotee. Because he derided Lord Shiva, the foremost of all devotees, he had to accept the body of a demon called Vritra. But then he was taken back to Godhead. Thus, when Krishna punishes a demon or conditioned soul, he stops that soul's habit of blaspheming him. And when the soul becomes completely pure, the Lord takes him back to Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Yanjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manoharistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Svahanantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vadastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitade Satarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. So, in this chapter, which is entitled The Lord, Supreme Lord is equal to everyone, Here we are discussing one of the very important features of Krishna, which is he does not have any friend or enemy. He is not partial to anyone. Krishna expands himself as the super soul, and he is there in each and every living entity, in the heart of each and every living entity. Right? It's like a friend who is always present with you. We might have some friends in our life, but if we start neglecting the friend, if we start saying bad things to the friend, then the friend will not also feel good. He will say, bye bye, you are no longer my friend. But Krishna is such a friend that although we have neglected him for so many lifetimes, he is still with us as a witness, as a friend. We can imagine when we had the body of a spider, and the spider is always meditating, when will the fly come into my cobweb and I will eat the fly? You know, the spider is never thinking, oh, there is a super soul next to me, there is a friend, Krishna. But Krishna accompanies the living entity throughout all the species of life, just waiting when will this jiva turn his head and stop showing the back, but start appreciating that there is a friend, there is a supreme being, and I want to establish a relationship with this friend. So Krishna is just waiting for this. And whenever the living entity desires, Krishna sends help. When the living entity wants to make spiritual advancement, the super soul is always ready to give guidance. So this is the definition of a best friend. That the friend who is always waiting to help you, always, never gives up. Right? So this is Krishna, and that is why we can say he has no enemy. You know, someone is enemy because, you know, in this world we have friends and enemies. Enemy is someone, let's say, who said something really nasty to you sometime, you know, although you did not deserve it, and then in your mind you think, so this is my enemy. But Krishna is beyond those praise and blasphemy, as the verse says. Someone praises him, someone blasphemes him, he's not affected. You know, he's above all these dualities of the material world. Right? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna's body and himself is non-different. We are different from our body, but Krishna is not different from the body. Right? His body is himself. So if Prabhupada explains in the purport, if Krishna's body and himself were different, then how could we accept what he says in the Bhagavad Gita? Right? Because anyone with a body has 4 defects. Right? Anyone with a material body, they have defects. And whatever they say will also have some defect. So Krishna gives the whole Bhagavad Gita. If he is different from his body, then Bhagavad Gita cannot be the authority for us because it would be full of defects. But because Krishna is not different from his body is totally spiritual, his body is not material, so whatever he speaks is authority because they do not have these four defects that a normal conditioned soul has. A normal conditioned soul, they have the propensity to cheat, their senses are in illusion, they have tendency to make mistakes, and their senses are imperfect. Right? So any knowledge that is manufactured by the conditioned soul, there is always a defect. Right? We see so much that we have so much of knowledge, so much of information right now. Like you can just go into the internet and so much of information and on any particular topic, right? But how much of that information is really useful? We can question how much of that information really transforms the heart. Right? There is a saying: the information we have right now is just information. There is no transformation. Right? If information does not bring transformation, then that information is not very useful. Because education is supposed to change your character. Education, that is why in the Vedic times we used to have Gurukul. And the main focus of Gurukul was not just giving information. The main focus of Gurukul was to raise a child to have proper character. Because if character is lost, everything is lost. And we need people of good character in this world. Right? In any field, we can see the leaders, we can see the military people. In any field you go, doctors, if they are of good character, that's good. Right? So information should be to bring about good character in a person. Right? So much of information we have, but if that information does not bring good character, then that is just the Srimad Bhagavatam says it's like crows. Where crows grow, there are two birds, right? The crows and then the swans. The crows are always living in dirty places, and then the swan is always looking for the peaceful and very mode of goodness place. Right? So literatures which only talks about the material subject matter, they are compared to the rubbish, and people who just like mundane subject matter, they are compared to crows. Right? Because ultimately they do not help you. They do not help you to get out of the material world, get out of the suffering of the material world. They might be interesting, but it's like if you have a boil. Boil is like pus, in the skin. If you have sometimes when you have a thorn and then you have a swelling, right? And then someone might come to you and then just very nicely blow on the boil, on this swelling. But a doctor knows that this swelling is because there is a thorn inside, right? So what will a doctor do? The doctor will go inside and operate and take out the thorn. Right? So material education might look very nice, oh, just blowing on the outside, but the pain won't go away. It will be okay for some time, maybe cool down for some time, but the swelling will not go away because the thorn is still inside. But spiritual knowledge is like this doctor going and taking out the thorn. Right? So Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, they are meant to come and they are meant to catch you and shake you and wake you up from the sleep that we are in the material world. So it may be painful, but that thorn is slowly, we are supposed to take out that small thorn. And then slowly the swelling will go down, right? So this is what, when Krishna speaks, he is taking out the ignorance from our heart. Right? And that is why when we hear Shastras, we get out of the ignorance. Right? Srila Prabhupada instituted the Srimad Bhagavatam class every morning. Because every day we tend to forget. We study, we hear for some time, but in the day we forget. We forget that we're not the material body. We forget that we are going to die. We forget that this world we have is temporary. So every day we do it. It's like eating. It's not enough that you eat once a week. You have to eat every day, otherwise you'll be weak. Right? So it's also not enough that we just do something once a week, do the spiritual practice once a week. It has to be something every day. It's like eating every day, you chant every day, you hear Bhagavatam every day, right? You serve every day. And then this will slowly change our heart. This will bring transformation in the heart. Right? Next, here. So Krishna is, the next point that's discussed is whenever Krishna kills someone, that is for the benefit of that person. We can see Krishna killed so many demons, right? So when he was just few days old, he killed a demon. Few days, and this is Krishna, you know. And when he was very small, he killed Putana and then so many demons, Vritrasura, Aghasura, Keshi, and so many demons. And then he lifted Govardhan hill. So this is Krishna's extraordinary activities. And he killed, it is said that he killed Putana. Putana was a demon who came to breastfeed Krishna with poisoned milk. And then Krishna sucked the milk, but also sucked the life air out. And then Krishna did not see that she was coming to kill him. Krishna saw that this person is coming to give me milk. So Putana got promoted to the spiritual planet, the same level as nurse of Krishna, right? Like a nursing mother of Krishna in the spiritual world. So Krishna sees only the good things. We might think, oh, we have um, so many things that are so rubbish in our heart, But Krishna sees the good. He is such a special personality, right? He sees the good in everything. If one offers just a leaf, Krishna says, if one offers just a leaf, flower, fruit, with devotion, Krishna accepts it, right? So that is why we should not feel very bad that we have so many bad qualities. We are not able to perform perfectly. Of course, our goal is to be able to do our best. We should always do our best to please Krishna. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that anything in this material world is always covered with some fault. There will always be some fault. Just like fire is covered with smoke, everything in this material world will be covered with some faults. So Krishna accepts the devotion, although our service may not be perfect. He accepts the devotion. And even when Krishna kills someone like, let's say, Kamsa or Sishupal, they get elevated. They get a higher benefit. Right? Everyone who was present in the Kurukshetra war, they got liberated because they died in front of Krishna. There was one person in India who Prabhupada met, and this person was saying that he was talking to Srila Prabhupada and he was saying, I saw one astrologer and he told me that astrologer. Yeah. And this astrologer told me that in my previous life I was fighting in the war of Kurukshetra, in the opposite side, in the side of the Kurus, not the Pandavas. And so this person was sharing with Srila Prabhupada, this is affecting my mind very much because I'm thinking, why was I fighting in the opposite side? Why was I not fighting for the right side? So this is causing me some anxiety. And then Prabhupada just tells him, no, you are not someone fighting in the Kurukshetra in your previous life. Because everyone who fought in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they were liberated. They cannot get birth again. And that the person accepted this answer. Right? So Krishna sees that how many times, like Prabhupada says here, if someone even blasphemes Krishna by saying something, but he utters Krishna's name, then Krishna is pleased. We can see that in the nectar of devotion. Anyone who chants Krishna's name in Namabhas just once or even by joking, all his sinful activities goes away. Right? Once there was a very bad reporter who reported very bad things about the devotees and about the movement in the newspaper. And then, but in his article, he had written Krishna so many times. And devotees went to Srila Prabhupada and then they said, this is such a bad publicity. And Srila Prabhupada says, how many times is Krishna mentioned in the article? Devotees counted this many times. And then he said, how many of these newspapers is published? And so many thousands, hundreds of thousands. And he said, multiply by that many times, this many times Krishna's name has been chanted. So it's a success. In any case, if people chant Hare Krishna, that is success. There is an airport in Chicago, the name is O'Hare Airport. And devotees would constantly go to this airport to distribute books. You know, in Chicago, this is a famous airport where so many books were distributed. And the airport authority was almost very irritated by the devotees. And devotees were not so mature during those days also, you know, they were distributing books, let's say not in an ideal way, not in the best way. And Srila Prabhupada arrived once in the Chicago O'Hare Airport, and he asked Brahmananda Swami to go to the main officer, the manager of the airport, and tell him to change the name of the airport from O'Hare Airport to O Hare Krishna Airport. Just make a random request. Does not matter what he will say, but just go and make a request. They don't have to change anything. The Hare is already there. Here, just add Krishna. And then Chicago O'Hare, H-A-R-E. H-A-R-E. In English, it's pronounced Hare. H-A-R-E. Hare. In English, it's pronounced Hare. But Sanskrit, we know it's Hare. You know, so, and then they could, it's the same, spelling is the same. H-A-R-E. And Prabhupada wanted Brahmananda Swami Prabhu to go and ask the manager to add Krishna. So, because if the airport's name is Hare Krishna, then so many people would chant Hare Krishna. He also once, this is funny, he asked one devotee to go to the Coca-Cola company and tell them to change change the name of the company to Hare Krishna. They can keep everything as it is. They don't need to change the beverage, no need to change what's inside, just change the name. Instead of Coca-Cola, just change it to Hare Krishna. You know, of course they didn't do it, but Prabhupada had this vision, you know, to very creative thinking. You know, he was a visionary, and so yeah. So this is Krishna's holy name, and the devotees know this. That is why we go out for Harinam, and that is why we distribute books, because just once if they chant Krishna's name, they will get the benefit, and if they read a little bit, so they get so much benefit. Srila Prabhupada would say, just one line from these books, if someone reads, it can change their life. Just one line. Once he said this, he was giving a talk. If they read Krishna book, he was, I think, telling about Krishna. This Krishna book is so nice. If they read it, it can change their life. And then he went on to say, what to speak of the whole book if they just read one chapter? And then he said, what to speak of one chapter if they just read one line? it can change their whole life. And he said, what to speak of one line? If they just read one word, they start their devotional service. I know one friend of mine, he got a book and he didn't know any philosophy of Krishna consciousness. He turned the page and then he saw the word Bhagavad Gita. And he was so attracted by this word Bhagavad Gita. And then he thought, okay, this book I must read. Because somehow he had heard of this Bhagavad Gita being very important book. He was so attracted. And he started reading and then he started chanting. So it has so much potency. Krishna's words have so much potency. His names have so much potency. And that is why he is all good. Anything that's connected to Krishna, it's all good. There is one famous pastime of Srila Prabhupada where one reporter is asking, how do you write these books? And then Srila Prabhupada, he just answers the reporter, Krishna tells me and I write. And then Rameshwar Prabhu is there and he tries to explain to the reporter so it does not sound too esoteric. He just says to the reporter, what he means is Krishna inspires him to write. And Prabhupada says, no, Krishna dictates and I write. Krishna personally tells me what to write and I write. So these are the books that we have. What Srila Prabhupada writes is it's what Krishna wants us to hear personally. Every word he would say that when I'm writing, forever, sometimes to write one purport, it would take him 2 or 3 days of meditation. You just meditate on the verse, you just think how to really write, how you really meditate on how to present it properly. So much of meditation, so much of effort has been put into writing these books by Srila Prabhupada. They are like he said they were his personal ecstasies. So we don't have to, there was a time when Srila Prabhupada would type the books himself, publish them, get them printed, publish them, and distribute it himself. From scratch to distribution, he would do it himself when he was in India. For us, what we have to do, we just have to read and distribute. No, we don't have to do much. We have a lot already. We just have to take the blessings. When I would sometimes I would ask Kavi Chandra Swami, I would ask him, please give me blessings. He would say, the blessings are already there. You just have to take it. The blessings are all there already. We just have to take it and run with it. Right? Haribo. Any comments or questions?
I know Krishna is all good and Krishna is a really warm personality. But sometimes I get doubts, this word would say, he has no enemies and no friends. But I understand because that's a bodily conception. But he says he is not a friend of anybody, but we have to be his friends. So it's like the it's a contradiction. I think his friendship, or our friendship to his, is a little bit artificial. Really, he's such a high being. He's playing with us. I don't really.
Yeah. So there is some kind of contradiction here. His question is because Krishna says he has no enemy or friend, but then how are we supposed to be a friend of everyone? And a friend, his friend also. He's not our friend. How can we be his friend? Right? And sometimes it's a little artificial that he's such a high person, and how can we be his friend? Right? That's the question.
Artificial.
That we accept him as our friend, huh? That's okay.
But also that he accepts us. He doesn't have friends, but you see him from David, he makes with the cowboy boys like a friend. But then you think he's such a high thing, he's just playing. It's not. We're not friendly on the end. He's such high, we just playing.
Yeah, I think we can see it in a way because because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. That's first understanding. And because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna, there is a dormant relationship existing. And it just has to be revived. In the beginning, it may feel artificial because it's so out of our habit to do this, to connect with Krishna. For so many lifetimes we have forgotten Krishna. It seems very foreign right now that we try to do this. But then, if we think about it, we don't want to die, right? We always want to be happy. And this quality is coming from Krishna. We want to be blissful. We want to have meaningful relationships. We cannot live alone. We want friends. We need friends. This need is coming from the soul's need to connect with Krishna. This is a dormant need of the soul to connect. So although it may feel artificial in the beginning, it's just like Prabhupada would say, drinking sugarcane juice when you have jaundice. Sugarcane juice when you have jaundice. Anyone has jaundice before? I had jaundice once. In that part of the world, it's quite, people get jaundice. When you get jaundice, everything you taste is bitter. Even sugarcane juice. But what is the cure for jaundice? Sugarcane juice. Sugarcane juice. Sugarcane. Sugarcane juice is the cure for jaundice. Not serum. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so the cure for jaundice is sugarcane juice. And I had jaundice, and I would drink bottles of sugarcane juice every day. It was so bitter. You can imagine sugarcane juice bitter. Right now we have jaundice. We all have jaundice, a diseased condition, and the relationship with Krishna seems bitter. It's what we try to do, chant, and the main objective of our chanting is to establish this relationship. And it may feel bitter, but as we go on taking, slowly we'll get cured of jaundice, of our diseased condition, and slowly we'll start to feel the taste of the sugarcane, which is sweet, it's not bitter. And slowly, similarly, we'll start to feel that, oh, I have a relationship with Krishna. He's a friend. He is always helping me. And we see Krishna's help in our life also so many times. We can see Krishna is always ready to help. We feel the reciprocation. And that will convince us that, yeah, this, although Krishna is in Goloka Vrindavan, it's very far, he's such a high personality. He's at the same time very near also. Mahatma Prabhu, he said something that I really appreciate. He said, Krishna is just one thought away. Thought. One thought away. When you remember Krishna, he is there. Right? So he's very far away also. At the same time, he's also very near. So this is Krishna's unlimited potency. Yes, you are right. He is very far. He is in Goloka Vrindavan enjoying with his friends. But at the same time, he is also very near. This is Krishna. He can be both at the same time. And when a living entity takes one step, Krishna takes 100 steps towards the living entity. Right? So this is, and of course, he doesn't have enemy or friend, means he is neutral in a sense, like a super soul is neutral. That's Krishna. Like super soul is just a witness, but if the jiva wants to connect, then Krishna helps. So in that sense, he is always a friend. He does not have friends or enemy because he is neutral. Like he is not choosing sides. He is not like, oh, this person blaspheming me, I hate him. He doesn't do this. Oh, this person is my devotee, only you come to me. Everyone rest you go and rot in hell. He doesn't do this. He doesn't have friends and enemies like this. He is neutral. But someone wants to love him, he loves them back. That's natural because he's a person. Right? But he does not like hating. He's not hating someone. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that's nice point. He has no duplicity. Yeah, does that...
I say that he's absolute, and I say that not in this sense.
Does that satisfy you, Prabhu? Yeah, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Oh, Krishna.